Hello, everyone. Um, sorry, of course, hello there, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to a special edition episode, an exclusive uh, Thursday evening episode, if you will. I'm looking right at the camera the right way. All right, great. Yeah, so, anyway, I've been doing this for long enough. Anyway, like I said, of course, welcome to another special episode of the Victorious Ones podcast. This is a special, exclusive episode, exclusive interview, as I respect the time. A little something different, doing new things, if you will. I'm also actually streaming on Twitch as well, by the way. You know what I mean? So, something that I've never ever done before. You know what I mean? But I did it specifically for this, exclusive, very special guest of mine, who's become a friend of the program, if you will. And of course, for those that are watching by way of YouTube, go to youtube.com/at Von Resper Jr. VAUGHNRESPERJR. Like and subscribe for more great content. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can follow all those, seeing all those different links at the bottom. Of course, before my guest comes on, I like to, just give a rundown of what I thought about Monday Night Raw. I'll say it's a very solid showing. Of course, especially given this winter season right now that we're in. So I mean, it was still a very nice audience. You know, what I mean, like I enjoyed myself at a great time. I didn't realize that that my tweets about the picture I tweeted about Raw, kind of blew up the way it did, and also I didn't expect that my screenshot. By the way, shout out to Ref Aja, aka Ref Day, for show, for support, for supporting my tweet, for quoting my tweet, and saying that she's gonna, have it as a lock screen. You know what I mean? So of course, shout out to her and all the great things that she's about to do as a referee, first black female referee in WWE history. So you want to talk about breaking through glass ceilings. You know what I mean? So as far as that, like I said, I like if anything, I like the Usos tag team title match at the beginning. I also liked, of course, Solo Sikoa's tribute to Umaga with that Samoa spike. And it's going to be a very interesting feud, if you will. Whether it's Solo versus Riddle, or even I'll even entertain the idea of Solo versus KO. You know what I mean? So of course like I say, I'm just like I'm just waiting for my guests, to come on shortly. But yeah, so as far as that, um, like I said, as far as that, um, I think I just think that as far as the week in wrestling, as far as my experience at Monday Night Raw, so, if anything, I definitely enjoyed it. Um, like I said, um, anytime WWE is here in this here within the DC area, um, I always look forward to it. You know, and like I said, if you are a fan of wrestling and WWE happens to be in town, it's just something that, like I said, I don't want to push any suggestions on anybody, but yeah, sorry about that. I'm gonna wait until my guest comes on to, put these back on. But like I said, it's certainly an enjoyable experience. I don't want to sound like a broken record. Now, I do think that, like some of the triple threat matches uh, didn't get the best reaction, if you will, didn't get the best crowd response. But I just think, just because I think a lot of them are just tired, just feel like a sense of almost like burnout, if you will. Um, in terms of just lack of depth at times, you know what I mean? And it's just like there really needs to be a shakeup when it comes to uh, the women's rosters, whether it's going SmackDown, whether it's going Raw and SmackDown especially. You know what I mean? Let me slow down. Like I said, the thing is, I was expecting uh, Raw to get a touch of flair on Monday, but clearly, that didn't happen. You know what I mean? So it's just that, um, I just think that eventually, especially when you start boiling down to when it's time to get ready for WrestleMania season, especially Royal Rumble being a month away, and this is where we really have to like strategize, be specific in regards to the next moves that you're going to make when it comes to this. When it comes to this women's roster, you know, and like I said, it's just there's such a long way to go. Now, I do like Rhea Ripley, but I think there's more that she can do when she's not doing anything pertaining to the Judgment Day when it comes to the faction. It's just I think one of the biggest concerns that's been around her, which is just to make sure that things don't feel too complacent or at least too comfortable when it comes to being affiliated with a group or with anybody else. Um, and shout out to Mimi from Turnbuckle Talk on Twitter, Turnbuckle Spaces on Twitter, as well as Black Wrestling. And so I definitely see, I definitely see, where that sort of concern comes from. You know what I mean? So, like I said, just as of right now, really, more than anything, I guess I'm just sort of killing time until my guest comes on, and just give a little heads up, a little reminder. But but yeah, but of course, um, uh, and also also with the U.S. title match, with the way that Austin Theory is looking, I never thought, never ever thought that I would say this, but he's certainly looking better. I would say that losing that briefcase was actually the best thing to happen to him so far. Because of the fact that um, now that whole selfie, now that goofy selfie gimmick is a thing of the past now, and he doesn't have to, he's not doesn't have to, I guess sort of like hide behind that Vince McMahon blanket. He doesn't have that Vince sort of stigma or stench on him anymore. So actually starting to see him actually become more aggressive, more serious, more mature. However, I will say that botch was, not exactly mature itself. That's pretty much like that. That was a really close call. When it came to that sort of like that turnbuckle botch, like Hurricane Ronda, botch off the top rope or whatever. But excuse me. But yeah, so as far as that, I did like the Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley segment. I thought that was pretty cool. And how Seth, is just you're just really just feeling that fire, when it comes to like when it comes to the whole Brock versus Bobby thing. He's just constantly just I guess you said gaslighting or whatever, but it just rather just instigating rather, just in regards to Lashley's issue problems with Brock Lesnar. They feels like he's jealous of Brock, and Brock's more successful, Brock's more dominant. This, that, third. Just anything that takes to get under Bobby's skin, and the best way to get under Bobby Lashley's skin is to bring up Brock Lesnar. It's just to aggravate him. Just really just to irritate him. You know what I mean? So, if anything, what better way to do that than to, excuse me, if anything, what better way to get under Lashley's skin than to bring up, a guy who's become his ultimate dance partner, his ultimate arch nemesis, Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? And I like how Becky, of course, I also like um, how so I also like how Becky went, how how Becky came through the crowd. I guess that's I guess it's her part of a new gimmick. Since she's back to being quote unquote, the man, if you will. What I mean? So I guess now she's more crowd friendly. Crowd interactive, if you will. You know, but another thing I do like the stare down that Becky had with Rhea Ripley. So I'm willing to entertain a Becky versus Rhea match. It's a Becky versus Rhea type of storyline going to Royal Rumble, going to like WrestleMania, like whatever it takes. And so I know that has the potential to be something big, something amazing, something excellent, if you will. But also at the same time, um, I think somebody else said themselves. Um, in fact, I want to say it was like last night on those wrestling girls like fan club or whatever. Seeing it in terms of possibly a possible shakeup where SmackDown and Raw do switch. We switch Becky to SmackDown and Charlotte to Raw. So that way, we could really have the best chance of getting our Charlotte versus Bianca, match for Mania, EST versus the Queen. Of course, by the way, congratulations to Bianca for participating in the bodybuilding competition. So Bianca's a certified bodybuilder now. You know what I mean? So it's just like she is the EST in everything. And so it's just just now bigger, better doors are starting to open up for her. Especially when it comes to this reign of dominance, this John Cena of the women's division type of era that 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 Bianca's currently on. A complete 180 from 26-second thing. So there's a part of me that believes that this reign is a huge way to make up for it, if not just apologize for the whole 26-second debacle, backlash, if you will. I don't know if apologies, exactly the best word, best word to use. But so it's just that. Let's see. All right, cool. So I just got word from my guest. Just got word from my guest that should be on within about 5 minutes. All right, cool. Yeah, so if anything, just as far as my thoughts on Raw, my thoughts on the direction that they're in. Really that's those are my main thoughts. Those are my main ideas, if you will. And by the way, a shout out to Naomi and Jay Cargill for for hanging out and taking pictures together and at the Atlanta Hawks game, and of course that clip and those pictures completely went viral. As I scrolled down IG, I was like, absolutely, I mean, it's nothing more rewarding than to see Black women compliment each other, love, honor, and respect each other, and not to feel like they have to compete with each other. And you know what I mean. So like I said, that's absolutely amazing. And also when when Bianca and Jade posting their pictures, if you will, Bianca was posting her bodybuilding pictures. I found out that I think like the first person to comment was Jade. So it's just that in a way, all like seeing all these type of things working together when when it comes to WWE in this post Vince era. Because I will say this, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm of the belief that if Vince were still here, none of that would have happened. You know, you know what I mean. So as far as that, like I say, things work out. Sometimes in the way that they're meant to work out, if you will. you know, and like I say, like I said, I definitely like, just to see those type of, see those type of moments on social media. What I mean, like away from character, away from this whole, kayfabe, BS, all that type of stuff that so many people get wrapped up and involved in and things like that. At the end of the day, um, what's most important is the way that it's the way that it's the way that we show it's the way that they show respect to each other as competitors, as athletes. Respect, just like game recognizes game. So that's where I saw that when it came to uh, like when it came to Jade's interactions with Naomi and Bianca and this that and the third. you know. And so, what I mean, so it's just that, um, like I say, the thing about it is that I know wrestling, is coming a long way, and they still have a long way to go, and of course, in many different ways, and so, and also, of course, in this episode, um, like I say, in this episode, with this interview, I'm looking forward to these, covering uh, a variety of things, if you will, whether it's the PWI list, like especially when it comes, especially when it comes to this recent tag teams list. Of course, since it's regards to women's wrestling, we're going to talk about top 10 greatest women's wrestlers of all time. You know what I mean? So in regards to my list as well as her list, you know what I mean? So as far as that's concerned, like I'm saying, it's so overall, I think it's going to be an episode that that like I said, episode an interview that that I certainly am going to enjoy. And I believe that I certainly believe that that you will enjoy as well. And so like I say, it's just that like I say, it's quite fascinating time to be a fan of wrestling, and of course another thing that we're going to talk about as well, um, you know, documentaries or biopics, especially with this upcoming Von Erich's biopic. May bring give a few comments, at least when it comes to the Vince biopic. Let's see. Whatever. Okay, I guess there's lots of it. But but yeah, like I said, um, like I see, it's just that it's just so much stuff going on. Like I said, so whether let's see whether it's from biopics, whether it's from whether it's from documentaries, so it's like I say, it's just it's pretty much so much to cover. Um, and of course, by the way, a happy belated birthday to John Moxley. Like I said, happy belated birthday. Because I'm blowing the lead right now. Like I said, happy belated birthday to John Moxley, who turned 37. And yesterday, Rick Rude, excuse me, like I said, yesterday, the late great ravishing Rick Rude would have turned 64. But of course, and like I said, my birthday section, I'll get into more of that later. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's not, so like I say, it's just some, like I say, it's so much, especially when it comes to this interview space, that I really, I really, look forward to covering. It's so, and it's just like I say, and also, one of the things, one of the latest projects I'm starting to get into, full disclosure, I'm starting to, starting to tap into my 50 greatest wrestlers list. Excuse me. I've seen I'm going to compile my own list of the top 50 wrestlers, and also shout out to Strictly for the Culture as we're starting to collaborate for their list of the 50 greatest wrestling matches, 50 greatest matches of all time. And who knows? What I mean. So it should, especially with the way that the landscape of wrestling has changed significantly from the time that WWE first came up with their list, and so just out of retaliation to their stupidity, um, I came up with my own list. But now, of course, my list came out released at like 2015, yeah, But now since then, the wrestling landscape has changed even more. Has drastically changed even more. Whether you look at the rise of Roman Reigns, you look at the career of, you look at the career of Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan, the career of Seth Rollins, so names like that would certainly be in this conversation. Um, where they will be ranked, you have to find out. But it's going to be very intriguing. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very fascinating, especially. I believe that this is the perfect time, this most opportune time um, to come up with a list like this. And of course, I want to give a shout out since we're talking about it. Of course, shout out to the world famous, almighty, world famous Black wrestler. Give a shout out to them with their annual BRP 50 list. Which is like critically acclaimed, very popular. And it's also certainly moved the needle and caught the attention of a lot of people within within the wrestling community, whether it is wrestlers themselves, writers, other podcasters, you name it. So with that list, they've certainly made their imprint. Within this like I said, podcast communities, this wrestling sphere. So that is like I said, their ultimate. Like I said, not to speak for them, but probably that the record shows is like the ultimate contribution. Like I say, to the wrestling community in and of itself. And like I said, with their list, along with PWI, company, like I said, along with the PWI coming out with their list, and along with the other lists that I've been doing myself, I believe that the time has come for me to really execute with excellence. Shout out to Bret Hart, excuse me. But yeah, so I look to fine tune my criteria, at least have it pretty similar to that of theirs. You know what I mean? So it just in order to make it those consistent, accurate, objective list I could possibly come up with. And the thing is, I get it. The most common thing that I hear all the time is wrestling is subjective. Wrestling is subjective. I get it. It's true. But there's also a certain level of objectivity that comes with it as well. And what I mean by that is that so it's just that when I say there's a level of objectivity that comes along with it, what I mean by that is that when it's time to have criteria, I think the criteria is what separates, all-time greats, like bigger, like more iconic figures to those that are legends, but haven't checked off as many boxes. It's just like when I did my NBA's top 75 list. Criteria was important. So that so you can be a separation from your say your I don't know separates Jordans, Magics, Kareem's, LeBron's, Kobe, separates them from like Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Clyde Drexler's, guys like that. So like I said, criteria is is the great divider. To separate those that are upper echelon, all-time pantheon greats to guys that are still legends, but just not on the same floor. I think Barkley said it best. We're on the same building. Everybody's not on the same floor. And I think the same idea goes along when it comes to wrestling as well. In a sense that they're all in the same building when it comes to the top 50 list. They're all in the same building, but everybody's not on the same floor, you know. And the thing is, like I said, no matter to me, I get it that everybody has different tastes, like, certain favorites and things like that. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that separate, certain wrestlers from other wrestlers. Certain check marks, benchmarks that some wrestlers have reached that others haven't. That is why you look at guys like, for example, Rock and Austin, as pretty much the de facto goats, if you will. That's what separates them from, the likes of somebody like Piper, or DiBiase, if you will. You know what I mean? So, pretty much guys like that, Jake the Snake, he who should not be named, people like that. Like I said, criteria matters. So that way, you wouldn't classify. So that way for me, I wouldn't have to classify. I wouldn't have to put somebody who's never been the face of the company or the face of their generation out, in the same ranking as somebody who has been the face of their era, somebody who has carried the company. You know what I mean? So I said criteria matters. And so on. So if anything, like I say, it's still, as of right now, all this is, just for the sake of sort of killing time, if you will. Of course, once again, on once again on YouTube, youtube.com // Ed Von Rest Virginia. So like I said, for those that want to follow me on YouTube, you can follow me on there. Of course, I'm also, of course, this show is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you stream podcasting from. This, like I said, this show is available on those, and what I mean. So of course, I want to thank those that supported me on Spotify. I just want to say thank you very much. For those who took out the time to listen to each of those episodes, and stream them in their spare time. You know what I mean? And just like seeing the numbers are absolutely amazing, and it's clearly not over yet at all by any means necessary. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, see what's going on with this. If anything, let's just say that this, if anything, this marathon continues. The race is far from over. I still have, if anything, like I said, I still have plenty of content on the way. So who knows? I may do an end of the year special episode. Who knows? So like I said, the thing is, it's just so much more ground to cover. Especially when it comes to wrestling as it pertains to WrestleMania season. So much more ground to cover. When it comes to potential merchandise. Oh, wait a minute! And I have my special guest right now, the honorary wrestling girl herself. I gotta put these on right now. You know what I mean? Finally, People's Champ has arrived. None other than the honorary wrestling girl herself, the owner of the Well Minority Report, the one and only Seindole.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Hey there.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Don't worry about it.
Circumstances beyond my control, besides being as fabulous as I can possibly be. But I am here.
Yes.
I'm so here.
It's an honor to even have you on this podcast, and the fact that you even reached out to to even be a guest on here. I'm absolutely excited. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so like so I'm a huge supporter of of those wrestling girls.
Aww.
And see see women's wrestling and just women's Excellence, absolutely, just without question. And if anything, like some get to my everything in a minute, but it's been an honor for you to even, um, to even consider to be a friend of mine because
Oh,
to connect. Same with you, PR and Krista. You know what I mean? So the thing is like, y'all didn't have to do that, but I'm absolutely honored. You know what I mean? But so of course, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
all right. Well, for those of you who don't know who I am, if you've been living under a rock somewhere, my name is Seindole. I am known as Reload.Relive on Insta, Reload via Film on Twitter. I am the proud owner of my own mental health platform called The Well Minority. I'm also an honorary wrestling girl. I stream with the TWG fan club every Wednesday. You join me and Queen PR of those wrestling girls, along with Brian Waters of the Wrestling Rail and Is Justin on Twitter. You can find me also being a leader of the Big Titty fan community. We're on hiatus right now. We're taking a break. But we will be back in full effect for this holiday season. Jingle, jingle.
There you go, jingle, jingle. Yeah. So,
Yes.
as of right now, let's just say the other bags have been put away.
Yes.
For the notice.
It's a little cold outside. I'm like, we can't listen. We got to be fair. Like,
Exactly.
they've been out so much this summer. They're like, listen, like let's get information. If bears hibernate, so do we. So it was only fair that I give them the rest that they deserve.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So that's a disclaimer, for all these dudes out there that are, this is what Thirsty Thursday, right?
Yes, and shout out to them because they're actually about to kick off Thirsty Thursday in the next hour or so.
All right.
So
Yeah. So we ain't gonna be long. Don't worry about it. So yeah. So like I said, of course, I wanted to ask you about the. I know you already introduced it, but as far as like the Well Minority Report, so where did the idea come from when it came to that?
Well, the Well Minority came mostly from me trying to find some mental health resources for myself, battling depression and also battling um, losing a friend and losing friends, like two different ways. I found myself in a dark place and it was hard for me to find resources really for me to combat my own mental health. So I then decided that I'm just going to start a resource page of my own and help people do the exact same thing. And so far, we're up to about 50 resources within the tri state area. We're going to be growing a whole lot more. We are not only stopping there, we're not stopping at just people getting a therapist. We're stopping at people finding the right podcast to listen to. We're starting to form a list of retreats for people to attend. Like the buck is not just stopping at just telling you, hey, go to therapy. If you feel like therapy is not for you, there's going to be other resources for you to come across that are going to be able to help you get through what. Even if it's a community of people who like the same things as you, feel like I've biggest biggest thing is asking for help. And if we can just help one another, especially with something that in our community, the Black and Brown community, is so hard to take our mental health into consideration. I'm here to make that a major priority.
Hey, listen, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Getting real quick before we go into this wrestling thing, all things wrestling. It's just that it's important. Because especially when it comes to our community, Black community, there's so much of a stigma. There's like this huge like just like pride, like yeah, like it's just like this whole therapies and that or at least counseling and all this type of stuff.
Right.
Health is like I don't really believe in that. There's a whole stigma about it, but there's so many things that can trigger that can be triggers that like without us knowing we actually have our own sense of PTSD like for centuries as far as
Right.
and like things that we dealt with and just even our own personal lives so I appreciate that you being an advocate for this and so like other than outside that since we're going to transition certain things wrestling has certain triggers that could bring that up. But anyway, before I even go into that, I like to I've been looking at the bloodline, and I noticed that they have been on an absolute roll.
They
So,
have.
what are your thoughts on the state of the tribe, if you will. You know what I mean?
I'm just waiting for Sammy versus Jay at WrestleMania. Like I'm honestly waiting for. I mean, every fraction has lasted. We've seen the rise of the New Day doing major accomplishments. We've seen the rise of that epic Sasha and Bailey era where they were a tag team and they were two belts. We've seen it all, but I think what's so unique about this is that it's been a long time since we've had like a dominant faction. I think fractions is the difference between having a faction, having a dominant faction. Like this is a dominant faction. Like you literally have someone who's sitting at the top of the food chain with all the gold. Then you have another group that's sitting on top of the food chain with both gold. And it's like I'm keeping my eye out for Solo a little bit because it's only for so long where Gunther's gonna be a heel, and who knows, like not for nothing, Solo has two belts he can go after. So imagine having a faction that has all the gold. That's where I would love to see it end. That's where I would love to see it go. Don't know what Trips' plans are because I think they're put themselves in a place where they've given the belt to Roman. They're like, all right, now we gotta build somebody that's gonna be dominant enough to take this guy down because I don't know if we've done that. Like we gave him a YouTuber, we gave him, we give him former champion after former champion. This cousin doesn't come back and take it. We don't know who else to give it to. So I like the build. I love the storyline. I love the longevity of it. I love Sammy Uso. I don't care what anybody says. I love the term Usi. It's all good to me. I can't wait for the next few months to show what's in store for the bloodline.
I agree. You know what I mean? And the thing is, one of the things one of the things I've jokingly said is, what if going into WrestleMania, the bloodline, Sammy makes what if they do a remix of the Entombed song Juicy Fruit, and then it's Sam and they call it Usi. And so it's like and things like like for those we may be a little old enough or whatever that know that song, especially when it comes to like the lady that's the lead, have Sammy be the lead and
right,
have Roman be Entombed.
That would be so dope. That would be no, not for nothing. That's an idea that I can get behind.
That is a name. That is a name right there.
There it is.
If I'm like surprised that Public Enemies hadn't come up with that themselves. I might be giving them ideas. I don't know, but hey, they make memes out of anything, right?
They really do.
They really do. Shout out to them. But yeah, like I said, it's just like with the way that like I said, with the way the bloodline is. I'm open for for Sammy versus Jay at WrestleMania because before we move to the next topic, because I know that I was listening to the Masked Man podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as like Kaz and Shoemaker, and so I was listening, right? And so they talk about the bloodline, and the thing is, I was like I said, as I was driving, I was listening, right? And so Kaz had me for a minute. I respect him, but then I kind of like. The wheels started to fall off when he said, why don't we have Sammy versus Roman at Mania? Saying that The Rock might be something that may bring the story down, bring down the storyline. Where I was like, I get everybody's on Sammy Mania, but dude, like, this is to me, this was built into.
Right. But it's like, do you really just want The Rock to just stroll in there and take the title off his cousin?
Not at all.
After all this buildup, you've basically built Roman to be an unstoppable force. You've built him to be the immortal one at this point. So who's gonna go in there and really just be like, The Rock's coming in? Snatchy's like, it can go one or two ways. The fans are gonna be like, thank God, or the fans are gonna be like, this is some horse shit. Who booked this?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say. I'm not saying it for Dwayne, aka Black Adam, to come through Hollywood and snatch the title off. I'm looking in the sense that Roman has conquered so many enemies. And it's the final boss. It's the final head, the biggest head to put on his collection. This official like passing torch coronation, if you will, because WrestleMania for me is also, also the stage where which is passing of the torch. You know, whether
Yes.
it was, WrestleMania 3 with HH and Andre, Warrior versus HH, that type of thing. Austin beating, like I said, Austin beating Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14.
Right.
So I
All
look at
iconic moments.
all iconic moments. So I'm looking in that sense because Roman has been built so much. Why not have him beat the guy who is like the 1A, if you will, when it comes to this whole GOAT thing? And so, and also, like I said, kind of diving in, where do you see Roman on an all-time scale? Like, I'm gonna throw certain names. Would you put him higher or lower than these names I'm about to bring up?
Okay.
Brock Lesnar.
Higher.
Higher than Brock. RKO. Randall Keith.
Lower. Because we're talking about longevity versus title holds. Randy Orton is him and John Cena will forever go down as the men who literally couch voted what you have now for a lot of these men in the locker room. They set the standard. And as far as like title holds and acclamations, Roman hasn't touched it yet. So
not yet. All right, so and the things I'm gonna throw two more names out there.
Okay.
Before we move on. Edge.
Oh God. Versus a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, where you put Roman higher or lower than Edge?
They can't be a middle, can there?
It could be a middle. You could throw a middle in. Don't matter.
I feel like their origin stories align in reverse. Give it to you, because we weren't supposed to really fall for Edge until we were told for Edge, and then we tried to make Roman a thing. Yeah. After liking him sublightly, and then it turns out like, all right, like we just don't like you. So he's like, all right, you want me to be the villain? So be it. I could be the villain. So I feel like they're both neck and neck. What sets them apart, for what brings them both in the same category, is resilience. So that's tough. They're both very resilient men.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and also like real quick, I think with Edge, with the way time has kind of like passed by, a lot of people start to kind of like forget to appreciate, what he brings to the table. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also at the same time, it's just like you kind of look at the body work. The reason I'm asking is because I'm coming up, before you even came on, I was explaining like, I'm about to tap into this whole top 50 greatest list whole thing, you know what I mean? Because it's like time is right. You know what I mean? It's, by the way, shout out to Black Wrestling.
Black Wrestling. They're also on tonight.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I've even reached out to Mimi to see if she be a guest one day. She's the ultimate Roman fan.
She is. Like, you can't get between her and her tribal chief. Like, no,
this is the Mimi hive right here. You know what I mean? So, but
we stand Mimi.
We stand Mimi. That's right. And one more name. CM Punk.
Oh God, higher.
Roman higher than Punk.
And this is coming from someone who's a fan. Like, higher. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Like, it's just like, as far as like, it's just his attitude that ruins a lot of shit. Like, the Roman can go work, clean up, and go home. Like, a lot of wrestlers want to do that, but it's just like, no, it's just your attitude that makes, like, it gets in the way. And it's like, as far as like, if he wasn't so hung up on being the main event and being the main attraction, he would, like, I think he'd be higher. But it's just like, no, your attitude's like, dude, like, we don't need you trolling us on Instagram. WWE does not need you back.
No.
You need to do movies, because your movies are actually pretty decent. Yeah. That's what we need you doing.
Yeah, because things, it's just like when you, and one of the things I look into consideration is like when you burn so many bridges. And see, the thing is, perception plays a lot as well when it comes to legacy. You know what I mean? So, other than accolades, is right. The way that you carry yourself, the way that you perceive yourself. That is why HH is forever disqualified for being considered number one all time, because of things like that.
Exactly.
So that's a whole nother thing by itself. But also, since we're talking about moving on to the biopic thing, Von Erichs. What are your thoughts on? Because you were talking about that last night. Um,
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the Iron Claw is going to be starring Zac Efron, and it's going to basically be about the rise and fall of the Von Erich family. And I fell myself into a rabbit hole with the Von Erich family because they're like they were wrestling dynasties the same way that the Hearts are a wrestling dynasty, the same thing that the Anoa family is a legacy. Like they were in a legacy born for greatness, and it's tragic what happened. You know, when you hear Kevin explain everything, it was kind of like they were just trying to do what they love, what their father taught them to do. And with fame and fortune and that level of like man, they were the Beatles of the South. They were the Beatles of Texas.
hands down.
And for one of them to make it, they all made it. And then for one of them to fall, they all started to fall. They fell at a really young age because a lot of people don't know. They actually had there was actually five of them, and the younger brother passed away when he was young.
Yeah,
So it's just like is it like a plague? People were saying, is it a curse? The way they found one brother dead in a hotel room, the other one takes his life. And it's just like, how do you like he has five sons and only one survives.
yeah. And by the way, of course, shout out to Kevin Von Erich, the last remaining member of the Von Erichs. He lives out in Hawaii. I think Zac Efron's going to be playing him. And,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing about it is that I've even online, on Twitter, I've even like interacted with like with Kevin Von Erich myself. You know what I mean? So like since that's coming out, you know what I mean? Like, hey, future records. I'm looking forward to, speaking to existence, if you will, possibly an interview with WWE Hall of Famer, last remaining member of the dynasty, Mr. Kevin Von Erich. I'm just
I
saying.
believe it'll happen.
I believe
Never
so.
say
I believe
never.
so. Yeah,
Never say never.
never say never. That's what I'm talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
and also, funny thing is, since you mentioned that, I think it was his brother, was it David Von Erich? I think he was the
Yes.
one who ended up dying, and the reason why, and like when Kerry Von Erich beat Ric Flair, that was at the David
That
Von
was
Erich
yes.
Memorial, yeah, and so
Yes.
yeah,
It's just like it to me, and they fall in line with all the greats. Like, Ric Flair's documentary is gonna come up, and I hope he touches on a couple of things like that, like what it was like being lasting that long in a business where you've had a rise and you've had a fall, and then you had another rise and you had a fall, and then you've had along the way more rise and more falls. I hope it captures a lot. And Chris was even saying, I hope they capture what happens to him being hospitalized because like not for nothing, it was like a place where he turned his life around. So I'm hoping it captures it all. Hope it captures him putting the battery in his daughter's back to become a WWE superstar. I hope it covers everything.
absolutely, and also like another thing real quick, when it comes to the Von Erichs, but also along with Flair, is that Ric Flair at David Von Erich's funeral, I think him and Harley Race was saying that if David were still alive, he would have been a world champion. you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, but also like by the way, um, shout out to Charlotte. For people that want to hate on somebody who's a next generation, wrestler who's great, they have more pressure on them because of their family name, so they have to go above and beyond. So the thing is, I get it. Charlotte's like constantly in everybody's face, but the thing is, the way some people talk about her, you would have thought they would talk about David Flair. You know what I mean? So it's just like
Mm.
so it's like one of those things where I get it. Charlotte's had a lot of extra exposure, but at the same time, you can't talk about the four horsewomen without Charlotte Flair. Period. I'm just saying. But like I said, the Von Erich thing. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. You know what I mean? If there's any way that that the fan club can watch together, whatever. Hey, I'm open to it. You know what I mean?
There's a lot to watch with the fan club. Like it's just you should just come on and just give your 2 cents on it because it's like you're really invested in it.
Yeah,
So I'm like, you should just come on. We gotta do it. I'll talk to the production team, and we'll definitely have you on because you're like you're a walking encyclopedia of wrestling yourself. Like you're a super fan like me. So anytime a super fan wants to come on,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's like I said, and I've even kind of like planted the seed and told those wrestling girls, PR and Krista, that that you're going to be coming on. So like I said, I'm not going to hold things up any longer. It's only 6:09, but also three other topics I wanted to cover. PWI. What'd you think about the some of these recent lists that have come out with those?
For bias reasons, I've only been obsessed with the women's ones. Shout out to Queen PR for that.
Yes.
I feel like the men's one is actually really well constructed and fair. Um, I'm not really sitting on the same fence as the um unfortunately not really sitting on the same fence for the tag teams, because I feel like if anything, I feel like I understand why the Usos are number one. I feel like I understand why the Usos are number one, but I feel like it could have gone to FTR.
Yeah.
Because
But
like Day's titles holding on to it, it could have, but I understand why the Usos are number one. But yeah, I felt like and then the Briscoes, I'm like, the Briscoes just need to go sit down. Like they
yeah.
shouldn't even be
Yeah.
where they're at. But I feel like with FTR, it's a long, frustrating road to be like, hey, we have like 3 different belts. We also held our franchise championship belts, and you're considered number 2. I think that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So I see where Dax's frustrations came from, but it was just like, dude, like it is what it is at this point.
Yeah. Yes. So of course, I didn't mean to interrupt, but as you were, we were in the conversation. I held up the PWI magazine list. Shout out to PR for being in this one. The
And
women.
shout out to the fact that it was 50 women and now it's 150. And hopefully next year it's 200. And
Absolutely.
hopefully after that it's 500.
Come on now, just like with the men's, keep the same energy.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I think with the FTR, by the way, shout out. Of course, I want to give a shout out to Seahawk for for that great FTR article that he wrote. It was
Yes.
amazing. I was like, oh man, I'm getting more invested in them. But the thing about it, I think when it comes to the FTR thing, is that is that they had to fight for TV time. They haven't had as much
Right.
TV time. So the thing is that plays into it as well. That type of exposure that really plays into it. Meanwhile, the Usos are are part of this are part of the central biggest storyline in WWE overall. So and
Mhm.
not only that,
They're
but
in your face. They're literally in your face. So it's like, do you really have a choice into understanding why they're in your face? Not really. They're in your face.
yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And plus, like not only that, but they also broke New Day's record, and
Right.
you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So all those type of things, whether you believe it or not, I firmly believe that those are the type of things that play into decisions like this.
Right.
Criteria, and so so also like criteria talks. I think it talks about like being active in competition and stuff like that. This, that, and the third, and in ring achievements or whatever. So and so because the Usos are a draw, and so like I said, I don't really have an issue with it. And by the way, PWI acknowledged the bloodline, so they have the Usos number 1 and Roman at number 1.
Mhm.
The women's 150, like I said, it has more work to do, if you will. So
I feel like it's fine, but see, with the women 150, the reason why I'm happy it's at where it's at. The only situation that doesn't make sense to me is Mandy Rose's placement, because I feel like if you heard me preach last night, like Sis is not getting the credit due. They need to just acknowledge the fact that Sis has put in work and stop thinking it's cute to just dislike her. But that's a whole nother preacher topic. We're not going to do that on your show.
nah,
What we will do is acknowledge the fact that they've also been paying attention to Stardom and other
absolutely,
platforms to put women on their PWI, like to see Trisha Dora, to see a whole bunch of names that I know are put in work this past year. It's worth it, in my opinion.
yeah, they have put in incredible works. Trisha Dort is actually from the
To
DC
see
area.
Willow, to see a
Yes,
lot of it was all worth it.
yeah, and of course, the last cliff note for that is Mandy should for me would be in the top 10. That's the main thing I changed. That's the main thing I
I
changed. Look, I'm gonna
know.
say it like this: you want to keep the rest of the rest of like when it comes to Stardom, you want to keep them in there. Bianca I put number 1. You keep Thunder Rosa, Becky and Jay wherever you want to put them. Charlotte, we know why. So, but the thing is, Mandy, if she's at number 10, I'm good with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said, 2 more things I want to talk about. Since we're talking about the women, 2 more topics, just real quick. Who are your
Mm-hmm.
top 10 uh, greatest women's wrestlers of all time?
Okay. So Lita. No, sorry. No. So Jazz,
Hmm.
Lita, Jacqueline. We're gonna go with Trish Stratus.
Absolutely.
We're gonna put AJ Lee as the fifth girl because for you to be 5'3", kicking people's asses, I don't care how they pushed you.
Yeah.
You had me captivated in both storyline, valet, and wrestling ability. You and me there. Definitely gonna put Beth Phoenix right there. And this is not in any chronological order. These are all the women that I love and adore.
Right.
To put Sasha, to put Bailey, to put Bianca, and Charlotte Flair and Becky. And that's how we're rounded out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like no chronological order
Nope.
myself. All right, so no chronological order myself. Of course, you got Queen Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Blueprint Sasha Banks.
Mm-hmm.
You have the man Becky Lynch, Rebecca Quinn, government name. You know what I mean?
Go
Yes,
back to them Shimmer days.
absolutely. Come on now. The ninth wonder of the world, the one and only China. So
Oh
like I said,
yeah.
there's Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, China, Trish. Of course, come on
Mm-hmm.
now. You can't talk about women's wrestlers without Trish Stratus. Um, Japanese legend Asuka,
Yes.
uh, Lita, Bianca the EST, Bailey, the role model, now Savage herself, Bailey, and of course the one and only Alundra Blaze, aka
Oh my
Medusa.
God. I love Alundra Blaze.
Come on now.
Can we get an honor? I need an honorable mention just because I've been obsessed with Jade Cargill,
Yes.
obsessed with her, like obsessed with her growth because she wasn't the most skilled wrestler and look what she grew into. And it's a lot of AEW women that have caught like choked me, like Britt Baker has
Oh
choked me
yeah.
all
Yeah.
summer.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And the thing is, Jade's on the way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, regardless of what the haters say. And the thing is, funny thing is, Seindole, like right before you got on here, I was actually talking about the Jade, the Jade and Naomi, Instagram, picture and reels and stuff. Talked about that. I talked about Jade's, response to Bianca's pictures and complimenting her and stuff like that. So it's just like, and if anything, like I said, Jade is certainly on her way. Bianca's definitely the John Cena of the women's division. Let me put it like this. Before we get this one last topic, I'm gonna say it like this. I respect time, so I would say it like this. For those who are fans of Marvel, I'm gonna say it like this. Charlotte is the Captain Marvel. Is Carol Danvers.
Oh.
Bianca is Monica Rambeau.
Oh.
Because the thing is, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm
Oh.
gonna say it like this because I know Wilkins likes to throw references and
Shout out to Wilkins.
Dodge Wilkins, right? Mr. Bloodline is the greatest of all time. They're up there. I've given my view on that, whatever. We're not going to that, whatever. But anyway, they're legendary. But still, at the same time, I was saying, since he uses those type of references, Street Fighter, DBZ, whatever, I was like, let me throw that in there as well. Because I was gonna think about Bianca She-Hulk, but Jade's already done the cosplay, and you already throw her name out there. Because people throw their names out there as like Storm and She-Hulk all the time. So I was like, let's go ahead and switch things up a little bit.
and big, like big to her because for you to go out and pay homage to the strongest women superhero wise, because you literally are built like one.
Yes.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Like the fact that she could bench press with 400 pounds, like deadlift people. Like imagine Bianca picking up Nia Jax. Because I know that because I know because funny thing is on Monday when I was at Raw, they were showing like different like highlights, whatever. And and I remember I don't know if it was at Raw, but at least I saw something online where sorry that where Charlotte was picking up Nia Jax at the Royal Rumble, like the slammer, and Charlotte was worn. She was winded. She was exhausted after she picked up Nia. Bianca, come on now, like that would have been a highlight. Like Bianca picking up Nia and tossed over the top rope, that kind of thing. Giving her KOD.
I mean, she's picked up Otis, so
Yeah,
like,
she carried Otis around
right,
the ring. She's KOD Dewdrop tons of times.
tons of times. This
Like
is true.
like it's nothing. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said, like those are our top 10 women's wrestlers, in no order. But one more thing, one more game. Name association. This is my icebreaker. Last icebreaker. Name association.
Okay.
Let's go into it. Okay. Shawn Michaels.
Sexy.
uh, Bret Hart.
Legend.
Sharpshooter. Shawn Michaels, showstopper. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, ass kicker.
Absolutely. Respect. Um, The Rock.
The Rock. I'm gonna say iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. Undertaker.
Respect.
Yeah, absolutely. One let's say I'm gonna throw a wild card, the HH.
King. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So huh?
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm a big Triple H stan. There's nothing you could tell me about that man that's wrong. I was a fan of his when I was a kid when he was a cerebral assassin. I'm be a fan of his, the authority out of like I'm a huge Triple H stan. So
Yeah, absolutely. He's the game. And last but not least, Roman.
oh, Chief.
Exactly. So absolutely, let's throw the ones up. So with that being said, Seindole, thank you very much for for being on here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, you know what I mean. So I'm a big fan of those wrestling girls. You know what I mean. So
Oh,
absolutely, like I said, I appreciate what you bring to the table. I appreciate your expertise. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate the contributions that you bring to them, and I know that they appreciate it as well.
yes, yes.
So
Shout out to Krista B and shout out to Queen PR, the queens of this whole entire thing. I'm just an honorary one, but I'm so happy to be an honorary one. So shout outs to them. Tune into them tonight. If Thirsty Thursday is going on, it's gonna
yeah,
be fun. I
speaking of
may pull up.
speaking
Yes, have
of
your drink ready. Be in the
fruit punch, by
comments.
the way.
Have your
Yeah,
drink ready
exactly.
and be in the comments.
You better believe it. You know what I mean. So and of course, by the way, let them know I said hi. Let them
I
know that
definitely will.
that was on here as well. You know, so somewhere along the line, we happen to like switch platforms, whatever, and I get on theirs, they get on mine, whatever. You know, like my podcast, whatever. Let's go for it. You know what I mean.
You
So
need to pull up and show out.
absolutely. You know what I mean. So of course, cheers to 4 years and many, many more for them. And also like I said, especially I got a few announcements, especially when it comes to like some upcoming merch on the way, if you will.
Yay. Oh, we love good merch.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, it's under development right now, but when it comes, please be on the lookout. Just letting you know.
Yay. I can't wait. I will definitely be supporting the cause. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I need merch. I've been thinking, do I want to do merch? I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
Yeah,
Let's see what happens.
yeah, yeah. Especially one more thing, especially a PR 316. I think that would definitely take off.
Listen, we're gonna campaign it. Never say never. Like we gotta campaign that.
That's
It's
right.
never freaking say never
Never
at all.
speak those things that are not as though they were. And so once again, of course, Seindole, thank you very much for tuning in.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for always supporting me. Like I see you on the socials. You're always showing love. You're always making comments. You're always boosting that. I always 1000% appreciate it. And thank you for even thinking of me and having me on your show.
Oh
This
yeah.
is fun. We gotta do this again.
Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? Especially when especially like during WrestleMania season, I look forward to
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
to Mania LA. You know what I mean. So if so I happen to be out there and have to collaborate, you know what I mean. Hey, if y'all got a hangout spot or whatever, you know what I mean. I'm open for it. You know what I mean. So whatever, just like just how I was in Dallas. Hey, let's go for it.
Yes, let's go for it.
All right then.
Thank you so much for having me, hon.
Absolutely. As always, once again, later on.
Later on.
All right then. See ya.